They taped the notice to my front door like it was a warrant. Big red letters screaming that my daughter had violated HOA rules and they expected her to report to a so-called behavior assessment room at the clubhouse. My 12-year-old. For drawing chalk flowers under the birch tree we planted for her late mother. And when Nancy Gisham, the queen bee of this HOA, hinted she could strip search a child if she wanted to, well, she had no idea she was about to pick a fight with a Marine colonel. I moved to Rockledge Summit for peace. After 20 years in the Corps, I just wanted a quiet life with my daughter Lily. I didn't plan on battles anymore. But what Nancy ran wasn't a neighborhood, it was a regime wrapped in bylaws and threats. She called chalk art defacement glow-in-the-dark stars in Lily's bedroom window visual pollution, and somehow twisted every policy to put her stamp of control on people's lives. Most neighbors complied heads down, afraid of fines. I kept my distance until she put my daughter's name on that paper. That changed everything. I told her flat out, "You're not law enforcement. You don't give my family orders." She smirked and rattled off something about HOA safety provisions. I'd written the original civilian security protocols she was misquoting. I knew exactly how flimsy her authority was, but that didn't matter because she was banking on fear, not truth. And fear was winning. Walking through the neighborhood, I started noticing the small things. The retired couple down the street had their hand-painted bird bath covered in a gray tarp. The Bennetts had taken down their wind chimes because Nancy called them a noise violation. Miss Rawlings, a widow in her 60s, used to cover her porch with flowers, every color, every shape. Now it was empty. She whispered to me later that Nancy threatened her with $500 a day. In fines, said her flowers encouraged insects. No clause cited, no real rule, just intimidation. And then I asked if anyone else had been called to that clubhouse room. She hesitated before telling me about Jacob, 10 years old, who came home shaking after Nancy made him turn out his pockets. That's when my stomach dropped. It wasn't about flowers or chalk or chimes. It was about control, and Nancy was testing how far she could push. My little girl was just her next target. Days later, I saw Eli Becker, one of the newer board members. Quiet guy, high school teacher, always kept to himself. He peeled Lily's violation notice off my door and folded it into his pocket. Didn't say a word, just gave me this look like he knew something. Turns out he did. At a so-called community event, he leaned toward me and muttered, "I didn't vote for the room." He admitted Nancy had been running these off-the-books interrogations, searching backpacks, making kids stand alone and answer questions with no parents, no consent, no records. 4 months, maybe longer. And he was terrified. But fear doesn't hold forever. Cracks spread. Then he slipped me a paper, Nancy's handwriting across the back. Repeat visual offense. Escalate. Interview soon. Underlined twice. That was about Lily. I felt my chest tighten. This wasn't just harassment anymore, it was premeditated. The next morning I got my own violation hostile conduct toward HOA officials. According to her, I'd intimidated Nancy herself, and now I was banned from meetings. It was laughable on paper, but the damage was real. She wanted the whole neighborhood to see me as unstable, dangerous, exactly the stereotype of the angry veteran. And it worked. Neighbors avoided my eye. Even Lily overheard whispers at her art group kids asking if they'd get in trouble just for talking to her. At dinner, she asked me quietly, "Are we going to have to move again?" My voice cracked when I told her no, but inside I wondered if maybe we would. I'll admit there was a moment I almost gave in, almost packed it up and walked away. Maybe Nancy was right. Maybe I was too rigid, too stubborn, dragging my daughter into another war she never asked for. That doubt crawled inside me like rust. I thought of all the parents who stayed silent, who cut down their flowers or hid their decorations just to keep the peace. Was I being reckless by standing up? Maybe silence really was safer. Then I heard Nancy's voice through a half-closed window at the clubhouse. A boy stood inside, maybe 11, one shoe-off pockets emptied on the desk. Nancy's tone was sharp, cold shoes, too. My blood went ice. I hit record on my phone, pushed the door open, and stepped inside. The kid's eyes went wide. He clutched that shoe like a shield. Nancy tried to cover it up, called it a private meeting under board authority. I told the boy, "You're free to go right now." He bolted out barefoot. I faced Nancy, raised my phone just enough. "Colorado's a one-party consent state. I've got every word." She paled. Tried to warn me I'd regret this. I told her, "No, Nancy, you will." That night I filed a report with the state regulatory agency, attached the recording, and called an old Marine buddy, Major Brent Holloway, now a legal consultant. He didn't mince words. "You've got enough for an injunction." But I didn't just want a letter. I wanted her removed. Eli wasn't hiding anymore either. He handed me a USB drive, everything Nancy had kept locked away. Audio logs of kids' violation lists with red flags. Even a schedule of planned interrogations. Lily's name was there. Tuesday. Compliance Protocol 2A. No guardian contact. My jaw clenched so hard it clicked. She was going to corner my daughter like she cornered that boy. That was it. That was the line. We moved fast. Eli sent the files to Holloway. I gave pieces to Marta Klein, a reporter known for exposing rogue HOAs. And when Nancy scheduled a closed-door session to realign policies, Marta showed up with a camera crew. That meeting was supposed to be Nancy's show. She strutted in with her navy blazer and clipboard, all smug confidence. But the room wasn't hers anymore. Neighbors filled the seats, parents clutching old warnings, retirees with files they'd kept hidden, renters who couldn't even vote but came anyway. And then, just as Nancy tried to declare the meeting closed, a calm voice cut through. "Actually, it's public business, and I'm not media." Every head turned. A woman stepped forward, lanyard around her neck. "Heather Lowe, Senior Investigator, Colorado Department of Regulatory Agencies. I'm here on behalf of a formal complaint under emergency review." Nancy froze, tried to push through a speech about youth reforms, but Heather laid a manila folder on the table. "My folder." "Is this your handwriting?" she asked. Nancy's lips parted. No sound came. Eli stood up, handed Heather the USB drive. Nancy hissed, "That's board property." Heather didn't even look up. "No, that's evidence." Neighbors began speaking Rawlings with her flower finds, the Bennetts, about their 4-year-old branded as a loiterer. Marta's camera caught it all. The silence in the room wasn't fear anymore. It was resolve. Heather's tone stayed calm, clinical. "Effective immediately, all youth oversight policies are suspended." All fines paused. "And any board member under review is hereby suspended." She didn't name Nancy. She didn't need to. The sound of Nancy's heels clicking out of that room said it all. And that's where it ended. The tyrant walked out, her clipboard useless, her grip broken, the neighborhood no longer under her thumb. The lesson: fear only works as long as people stay quiet. Once someone refuses to bow, the whole facade crumbles.